We know flow can be intimidating, so we've partnered with Jennifer Lee, Automation All-Star and Lightning Champion, to help you understand what flow is all about and to help you get started with Flow Builder. In this workshop, you'll learn the foundational building blocks of flow and build your very first flow. Before we get started, let's cover the basics. Every flow is made up of 3 building blocks: elements, connectors, and resources, which are under Manager. Elements appear on the canvas. To add an element to the canvas, click it or drag it from the toolbox. Connectors define the path that a flow takes at runtime. They tell the flow which element to execute next. Resources are containers that represent a given value, such as a field value or formula. You can reference resources throughout your flow. For example, look up an account's ID, store that ID in a variable, and later reference that ID to update the account. The toolbox contains the elements and resources you'll use to build your flow. From the Elements tab, add new elements to your canvas like Screen. Display a screen to the user running the flow to either display information or collect information from them. Actions allow you to post to chatter, send email, submit for approval, activate or deactivate a permission set, global or other object-specific actions provided by Salesforce. A subflow calls another flow and simplify the overall Use this element to reference modular flows. Assignments. Assignments set or change values and variables. A decision element evaluates conditions and routes users accordingly based on the decision outcomes, equivalent to an if-then statement. A loop iterates through a collection one item at a time and executes actions on each item's field values. Create records creates one record by using individual field values that you specify, or creates records using field values from a multiple collection record or record variable. Update records finds all records meeting the specified criteria and updates them with individual using the field values from a multiple collection record variable, or one record using the field values from a record variable. Get records finds the first record meeting the specified criteria and assigns the record's field values to individual flow variables or individual fields on record variables, or finds records to assign their field values to a multiple collection record variable, or finds a record to assign its field values to a record variable. Be very careful with delete records, which can delete a single record or delete a multiple collection record variable, meaning many records at a time. From the Manager tab, create resources such as variables, stages, and choices to use within your flow, or view a list of all elements and resources that you've added to the flow. Now let's start at the beginning. I'll navigate to Flow from Setup and select New. I'll search for Flows. We're going to build a screen From flow. Our review, we learned a screen element displays a screen to the user running the flow to display and collect information from the user. Drag a screen element onto the flow to gather the account name and account phone number for the new account. I will label the screen Create an Account and hit Tab to auto-populate the API name. I'll tab again into the description, which I'll say is Create a New Account. I'll expand Control Navigation and uncheck Previous and Pause because we only want our users to move forward. On the Screen Component panel, under Inputs, select the Text component and drag it onto the screen palette. I'll set the label as Account Name, Tab to set the API name as account name, and I'll set Require to True. Locate the Phone component and drag it onto the screen palette. We'll start with the API name, which we'll call Phone Input. Tab for our label, which is set to Phone, and let's set our placeholder text. The phone input component has a slightly different way of marking requirement. I'm going to click into the required box and select the global constant false to mark it not required. Next, we want to uncheck manually assigned variables. This way the flow will manually create the variables for us. And then select delete. Click done, and we finished our first screen element. We'll add a create records element to create the account record with the account name and account phone number provided by the user. First, we'll add our label, API name, and a helpful description. Our goal is to auto-create the account based on the values from the input screen. We want to create one record and set the record fields. We want to create a record separate on the variables, account object, resources, and literal values. On the left, I'll select the field we want to populate, which is name, and choose the value, which is account name, the screen component we created earlier. Then we'll add another field to populate the phone. On the right, we'll select the phone input screen component and then choose value. Click done and you've finished the create records element. The last part of our flow is another screen element. We'll display a congratulations message to the user confirming that they successfully created the account. From our screen components on the left, we'll drag over display text and name it You Did It. We'll insert the resource for account name and type our message around that resource. And we'll click done. Let's connect all of the screen components on our canvas. Click save. Straighten them out a little bit. We'll name our flow create a record, put in a helpful description, and save. A little warning pops up, but we can ignore that. It's about lightning runtime. And we'll activate our flow. Let's run it now. Test it out with some sample data. Click next. And we see our success message. We've successfully created the account. Let's add our flow component to the utility bar. I'm going to activate my flow, go back. Within Setup, I'll navigate to App Manager. I will edit the Sales app that has a developer name of Lightning Sales. Let's add a utility item. I click into Utility Items and Add Utility Item. Then I add Flow. I'll rename the flow Create an Account. I'll select the appropriate flow, Create a Record from the options, and save my utility item. I'll go back and find my Sales app. And we can now confirm that our new flow has been added to the utility bar. Good job!